Jake Martinez wiped the sweat from his forehead as he crawled through the narrow maintenance tunnel on level 12 of Space Station Aurora. The wrench in his hand felt heavier than usual after 6 hours of fixing broken pipes and faulty circuits. He was just a maintenance guy, nothing special about him. Every day was the same routine of fixing things that broke down in the cold emptiness of space. The station floated in orbit around Kepler 442b, a mining planet that supplied rare metals to Earth colonies. Jake had been working here for 3 years now, and he knew every bolt and wire in the place. Captain Lisa Morgan ran a tight ship, but she treated her crew fairly. Dr. Amy Collins always patched up the workers when they got hurt, and Kelly Wright, in communications, always had a smile and a joke ready. Today felt different, though. Jake could not explain why, but something in the air made him nervous. The detention level was always quiet, but today it felt too quiet. The station held only one prisoner down there, some alien they had captured during a skirmish near the outer colonies. Jake had never seen the creature, but he heard the guards talking about it. They called it dangerous and said it looked like an elf from old Earth stories, but with silver skin and strange markings. Jake reached the power junction box that controlled the detention level. The readings on his scanner showed massive power fluctuations. This was not good. If the power failed down here, the containment systems would shut down. Jake opened the panel and saw burnt wires and melted circuits. Someone had been pushing too much power through this system. He grabbed his tools and started working fast. The backup power would only last 30 minutes if the main system failed. Jake stripped the damaged wires and began reconnecting them to bypass the burnt sections. Sparks flew as he worked, and the smell of ozone filled the narrow tunnel. 20 minutes into the repair, Jake heard alarms start blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the tunnel, and his radio crackled to life. Kelly Wright's voice came through with urgent news. All crew to stations. We have a power surge in the detention level. Security teams report to level 12 immediately. Jake cursed under his breath and worked faster. His hands moved quickly, connecting wire after wire. Just a few more connections and the power would stabilize. The alarms got louder, and he could hear boots running in the corridors above him. Then it happened. A massive surge of electricity shot through the system. Jake felt the shock travel up his arms as every light in the tunnel exploded in bright flashes. The power junction box erupted in sparks and smoke. The force threw Jake backward against the tunnel wall, and everything went dark. When Jake opened his eyes, emergency lighting cast an eerie red glow through the station. His head hurt, and his arms felt numb from the electrical shock. He could hear shouting and weapons fire coming from somewhere below him. The containment breach alarms were screaming now. Jake crawled out of the maintenance tunnel and into the main corridor. Security guards ran past him toward the detention level. Captain, Morgan's voice echoed through the station speakers. Code red. Prisoner containment breach on level 12. All civilians stay in your quarters. Security teams engage with extreme caution. Jake knew he should follow orders and head to his quarters, but something pulled him toward the detention level. Maybe it was his sense of responsibility for the power failure, or maybe it was just curiosity. He had never seen an alien before, and this might be his only chance. He took the maintenance stairs down to level 12. The corridor was filled with smoke and the smell of burnt metal. Blast marks scarred the walls where energy weapons had fired. Jake could hear fighting ahead, around the corner near the main detention block. As he crept forward, Jake saw the containment cell with its door blown open. Melted metal and sparking wires showed where the power surge had overloaded the locking mechanism. Through the smoke, he caught his first glimpse of the alien prisoner. She was tall and lean, maybe 6 feet in height. Her skin had a silver shine that seemed to glow in the emergency lighting. Long white hair flowed down her back, and her ears came to sharp points like the elves in old stories. Strange blue markings covered her arms and face in flowing patterns. She wore simple prison clothes, but she moved like a trained fighter. Security guards surrounded her with energy rifles raised. She had nowhere to run, trapped between the damaged cell and armed humans. Jake could see intelligence in her large, silver eyes, and something else. Desperation. Stand down, Captain Morgan ordered as she arrived with more guards. We need her alive. The alien woman looked around at all the weapons pointed at her. She spoke in a language Jake did not understand. But her tone sounded urgent, almost pleading. When the guards moved closer, she backed against the wall. That was when Jake made the biggest mistake of his life. Or maybe it was the best decision he ever made. He stepped out from his hiding spot and called out, "Wait. Maybe she is trying to tell us something important." Everyone turned to look at Jake. Captain Morgan's face showed anger at his disobedience. The guards kept their weapons trained on the alien, and the alien woman looked directly at Jake with those silver eyes. In that moment of distraction, she moved faster than Jake thought possible. She lunged forward, not at the guards with their weapons, but straight at Jake. Before anyone could react, she grabbed him and pulled him close. Jake felt sharp teeth sink into the side of his neck. Pain shot through his body, but it was not just pain. Something warm and electric flowed from the bite into his bloodstream. The alien woman held him for only a few seconds before security guards stunned her with their weapons. She fell unconscious, but not before she whispered something in his ear in perfect English. "Forgive me. It was the only way." Jake collapsed as Dr. Collins arrived and started treating his wound. The bite marks were small but deep, and they seemed to glow with a faint blue light. As the medical team worked on him, Jake felt strange new sensations flowing through his body. Something had changed inside him, something that would never be the same again. The routine day that started with fixing pipes and wires had ended with an alien bite that would change everything Jake thought he knew about his simple life as a maintenance guy. Jake woke up in the medical bay 3 days later feeling like a different person. The bite marks on his neck had healed, but they left behind 2 small scars that glowed with a soft blue light. Dr. Amy Collins had run every test she could think of, but the results made no sense to her. "Your blood chemistry has changed," Dr. Collins told him as she reviewed the test results. "There are compounds in your system that I have never seen before. They are not harmful, but they are definitely not human." Jake sat on the edge of the medical bed and touched the scars on his neck. They felt warm under his fingers, and sometimes they seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Stranger still were the dreams he had been having. In them, he saw places he had never been and felt emotions that were not his own. "Can you remove whatever she put in me?" Jake asked. Dr. Collins shook her head. "I do not even know what it is. The compounds seem to be integrated into your cellular structure now. Removing them might kill you." Commander Beth Turner entered the medical bay with a serious expression on her face. She was the military liaison who had arrived the day after the incident to investigate what happened. Turner was known for being tough and direct, with no patience for mysteries that could threaten station security. "Martinez, we need to talk," Turner said. "Dr. Megan Phillips is arriving today. She is a xenobiologist who specializes in alien species. Maybe she can figure out what that creature did to you." Jake nodded, but his attention was pulled elsewhere. He could feel something tugging at the edge of his mind, like a whisper he could not quite hear. It was coming from the direction of the detention level, where they were holding the alien woman. "Has she said anything?" Jake asked. "The alien, I mean." Turner's eyes narrowed. "Why do you want to know?" Jake could not explain the feeling that was growing stronger each day. It was like having someone else's emotions mixed in with his own. Sometimes he felt sad or angry for no reason, and he knew somehow that the feelings were not his. "I just wondered if she explained why she bit me." "She has not spoken since the incident," Turner replied. "But that is going to change. Dr. Phillips will get answers from her, one way or another." That afternoon, Dr. Megan Phillips arrived on the station. She was younger than Jake expected, maybe in her early 30s, with short brown hair and intense green eyes. She carried herself with the confidence of someone who had studied alien species for years. Phillips went straight to work, examining Jake's blood samples and scanning the bite marks with specialized equipment. She also spent hours studying video recordings of the alien woman from the security cameras. "Fascinating," Phillips said as she reviewed her findings with Jake, Dr. Collins, and Commander Turner. "I think I know what species we are dealing with. The Velnari are mentioned in several intelligence reports from the outer colonies. They are warriors, highly advanced, and they have some very unusual biological capabilities." "Such as?" Turner asked. "According to the reports, Velnari can form psychic bonds with other beings through their bite. It is supposed to be a mating ritual, but most experts thought it was just a myth." Jake felt his stomach drop. "A mating ritual?" Phillips nodded. "The bond is permanent and creates a psychic link between the two individuals. They can sense each other's emotions, location, and even share some physical abilities. In Velnari culture, it is the deepest form of commitment possible. "So this alien thinks Jake is her mate now?" Dr. Collins asked. "If the reports are true, then yes, and Jake would be connected to her as well." Jake stood up from his chair, feeling overwhelmed. "This is insane. I was just trying to help, and now you are telling me I am psychically married to an alien." As if responding to his emotional distress, Jake suddenly felt a wave of sadness and regret wash over him. But the emotions were not his own. They felt foreign, feminine, and filled with guilt. He looked toward the detention level, and somehow he knew the alien woman was experiencing these feelings. "You felt something just now," Philip said, watching Jake's reaction carefully. "What was it?" Jake hesitated, then described the strange emotions he had experienced. Phillips made notes and nodded with excitement. "The bond is active. Jake, you are connected to her. This is incredible." Turner looked less excited. "This is a security risk. If this creature can influence Martinez's mind, she could use him against us." "It does not work that way," Phillips explained. "The bond creates empathy, not control. Jake can feel her emotions, but she cannot make him do anything he does not want to do." Over the next few days, Jake learned to recognize when the alien's emotions were mixing with his own. He felt her loneliness, her fear, and sometimes a deep sadness that seemed to go beyond her current situation. He also began having dreams that felt more like memories. In these dreams, he saw a beautiful world with silver cities and crystal spires. He saw Velnari warriors fighting against dark creatures that moved like living shadows. He saw the alien woman, whose name he somehow knew was Zarathel, leading other warriors in desperate battles. The dreams troubled Jake because they felt so real. He could smell the air of that alien world, feel the heat of their weapons, and sense the fear of people running from something terrible. When he told Dr. Phillips about the dreams, she became very interested. "You are accessing her memories through the bond," Phillips explained. "This suggests the connection is much stronger than I initially thought." Jake was walking back to his quarters one evening when the strongest sensation yet hit him. It was not an emotion this time, but actual words forming in his mind. A voice that was definitely not his own spoke clearly in his thoughts. "Please forgive me, Jake Martinez. I did not mean for this to happen, but there was no other way to warn your people." Jake stopped in the middle of the corridor and looked around. No one else was there, but he could feel Zarathel's presence as clearly as if she were standing next to him. "Warn us about what?" he whispered, feeling foolish for talking to empty air. "The Devourers are coming. They consume entire worlds, and your colonies are in their path. My people tried to stop them, but we are not strong enough alone. That is why I came to human space, to seek an alliance." Jake felt the truth of her words through their bond. Zarathel was not just a prisoner or an enemy. She was a messenger, trying to save both their species from something terrible. The realization hit Jake like a physical blow. He was not just connected to an alien warrior, he was bonded to someone who held the key to humanity's survival. The simple maintenance guy from Earth was about to become the bridge between two species in their fight against a common enemy. As Jake stood in that empty corridor, feeling Zarathel's emotions and hearing her thoughts, he knew his life would never be simple again. The bond that had seemed like a curse might actually be the thing that saved both their worlds from destruction. The next morning, Jake requested permission to visit Zarathel in the detention center. Commander Turner refused at first, but Dr. Phillips convinced her that studying the bond required direct interaction between Jake and the alien. Captain Morgan finally approved the visit with strict security protocols. Jake walked into the detention level with 2 guards flanking him. The corridor still showed damage from the power surge, and the air smelled of burnt metal. As they approached Zarathel's new reinforced cell, Jake felt the bond strengthen like a radio signal getting clearer. Zarathel sat on the simple cot in her cell, her silver skin glowing softly in the artificial light. When she saw Jake, her large silver eyes filled with relief and guilt. She stood and approached the energy barrier that kept her contained. "You came," she said in accented but clear English. "I was not certain you would." Jake studied her face, seeing the intelligence and sadness that he had felt through their bond. Dr. Phillips says you bonded us permanently. Is that true? Zarathel lowered her head in shame. Yes. Among my people, the mating bond is sacred and eternal. I violated everything I believe in by forcing it upon you without consent. Then why? Did you do it? Jake asked, though he already suspected the answer. Because it was the only way to make you understand the truth quickly enough. The Devourers will reach your outer colonies within weeks. Your military leaders would never believe a captured alien prisoner, but they might believe one of their own crew if he had proof. Jake felt her sincerity through the bond, along with the weight of responsibility she carried. Tell me about these. Devourers. Zarathel moved closer to the barrier, her expression becoming urgent. They are not truly alive as we understand it. They are a collective consciousness that spreads like a plague across space. They consume all biological matter on a planet, leaving behind empty husks of rock. My homeworld fell to them 6 months ago. Through the bond, Jake saw flashes of Zarathel's memories. He witnessed the final battle for her world, saw the dark ships that blotted out the sun, and felt her horror as the Devourers consumed everything she had ever known. How many of your people escaped? Jake asked. Perhaps 1,000 scattered across different ships. My sister Cathara leads the largest group of survivors. She searches for me even now. Jake felt a new emotion through the bond, a mixture of hope and fear. Zarathel wanted to be rescued, but she was also afraid of what might happen if her people arrived, while humans still considered her an enemy. Why should humans trust your people? Jake asked. How do we know this is not some kind of invasion? Zarathel's eyes flashed with anger, but Jake could feel that the anger was directed at the situation, not at him. Because we are dying, Jake. Martinez, my people number in the thousands now, not millions. We have no worlds left to call home. All we want is to find others who will stand with us against the Devourers. Admiral Kate Rodriguez arrived at the station that afternoon with a small fleet. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes who had seen combat in several frontier wars. Rodriguez came to the detention level with Commander Turner and Dr. Phillips to question Zarathel personally. Jake was allowed to stay because his bond with Zarathel made him useful as a translator of sorts. When Zarathel spoke in her own language, Jake could understand her meaning through their connection. Your prisoner claims an invasion force is heading for our colonies, Admiral Rodriguez said. Do you have any proof of this threat? Zarathel looked at Jake, and he felt her request through the bond. She wanted to share her memories with him more completely so he could show the humans what she had witnessed. Admiral, I think she wants to show us something, Jake said. Through our connection, she can share her memories with me. Dr. Phillips leaned forward with interest. The bond would allow for memory transfer. It is theoretically possible. Admiral Rodriguez considered this. Do it. Jake moved closer to the barrier and placed his hand against it. Zarathel put her hand on the other side, and Jake felt their bond deepen. Suddenly his mind was flooded with her memories. He saw the Devourer ships for the first time, massive black vessels that seemed to absorb light itself. He felt the terror of Velnari civilians as the creatures poured from the ships like a living darkness. He witnessed the final desperate evacuation of her homeworld as the surface below turned gray and lifeless. But Jake also saw something else in Zarathel's memories. Strategic information about Devourer tactics, their weaknesses, and the weapons that could hurt them. The Velnari had learned much during their losing war. When the memory transfer ended, Jake staggered backward, overwhelmed by what he had experienced. Admiral, everything she says is true. I saw it all. The Devourers are real, and they are coming. Before Admiral Rodriguez could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Kelly Wright's voice came over the speakers with urgent news. Admiral, Rodriguez to the command center immediately. We have multiple contacts approaching from deep space. Configuration unknown. Admiral Rodriguez and her staff rushed to the command center, leaving Jake alone with Zarathel except for the guards. Through the bond, Jake felt her mixture of hope and terror. My sister comes, Zarathel said, but your people will see her ships as a threat. Jake realized the dangerous situation developing. Velnari ships arriving at a human station while their princess was held prisoner could trigger a battle that would destroy any chance of alliance against the Devourers. I have to convince them you are telling the truth, Jake said. The bond makes you more than human now, Zarathel replied. You are stronger and faster than before. Your mind can process information differently. These are gifts my people developed to fight the Devourers. Jake looked down at his hands and suddenly noticed things he had missed before. His reflexes seemed quicker, his vision sharper. The maintenance knowledge that had always come naturally to him now extended to understanding the basic principles behind Velnari technology he had seen in Zarathel's memories. I can help coordinate between our species, Jake realized. The bond lets me understand both human and Velnari thinking. Zarathel nodded. That is why the bond exists. In the old days, Velnari bonded with allies from other species to create perfect partnerships in battle. You are the first human to receive this gift. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. He was no longer just a maintenance guy caught up in events beyond his control. The bond had made him something new, a bridge between species that might be the key to survival for both humans and Velnari. As the station prepared for potential combat with the approaching ships, Jake knew he had to find a way to prevent a battle that could doom both species. The simple life he had known was gone forever, replaced by a destiny he never could have imagined. Through the bond, he felt Zarathel's confidence in him growing stronger. She believed he could unite their peoples against the coming darkness. Jake hoped she was right because the alternative was extinction for everyone he cared about. The command center buzzed with activity as Admiral Rodriguez studied the tactical display. 6 alien ships had dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system, their sleek designs unlike anything in human databases. Jake stood beside her, feeling Zarathel's emotions through their bond as she sensed her sister's presence among the approaching vessels. Admiral, they are not here to fight, Jake said, understanding the intent of the Velnari ships through his connection to Zarathel. They came looking for their princess. How can you be certain? Admiral Rodriguez asked, her hand hovering over the weapon's control. The bond lets me sense their intentions. They are desperate people looking for their leader, not an invasion. Force. General Susan Clark's voice crackled through the communication system from Earth Defense Command. Admiral Rodriguez, you are authorized to engage if those ships pose any threat to the station or mining operations. Jake felt Zarathel's fear spike through their bond. If shooting started now, any chance of alliance would die with the Velnari survivors. He had to do something. Admiral, let me talk to them, Jake said. Through the bond, I can communicate with Zarathel and she can relay messages to her sister. Admiral Rodriguez looked skeptical, but Nicole Green, the tactical officer, spoke up. Admiral, our sensors show those ships are heavily damaged. They look like refugees, not attackers. After a moment of consideration, Admiral Rodriguez nodded. Do it, Martinez. But if this goes wrong, the responsibility is yours. Jake closed his eyes and reached out through the bond to Zarathel. He felt her presence strengthen as she focused on connecting with him from her cell. Tell your sister we want to talk, Jake communicated through their mental link. No weapons, just communication. He felt Zarathel reach out across space to her sister through some Velnari ability he did not understand. Moments later, one of the alien ships separated from the group and approached the station slowly with its weapons powered down. This is Princess Kethara of the Velnari 7th Fleet, a voice said over the communication channel. The universal translator made her sound formal but exhausted. I seek my sister Zarathel. I know she is aboard your station. Admiral Rodriguez activated the communication system. This is Admiral Rodriguez of the Human Defense Force. Your sister is our prisoner. State your intentions. I wish only to speak with her. Our people are dying, and we need her guidance. Jake felt through the bond that Zarathel wanted desperately to see her sister, but she also feared what might happen. Admiral, they have information about the Devourer threat. We need to hear what they know. Very well, Admiral Rodriguez said. Princess Kethara, you may dock with our station. You may bring 2 companions, no weapons. An hour later, Jake stood in the main docking bay as the Velnari shuttle arrived. When the airlock opened, 3 figures emerged that took Jake's breath away. They looked similar to Zarathel, but were clearly different individuals. Princess Kethara was taller than her sister, with golden markings instead of blue, and she carried herself with the bearing of someone accustomed to command. "I am Kethara," she said, approaching Admiral Rodriguez. "Where is my sister?" "Safe and unharmed," Admiral Rodriguez replied. "But first, we need to discuss this threat she warned us about." Jake stepped forward. "Princess, I am Jake Martinez. I am bonded to your sister. She has shared her memories of the Devourers with me." Kethara's eyes widened as she sensed the bond between Jake and Zarathel, a human with the mating bond. "I had not thought it possible." "Your sister says the Devourers are coming to human space. We need to know everything." Kethara's expression darkened. "They are closer than you think. Our scouts detected their advance. Ships 3 days ago. The main force will arrive within a week." Admiral Rodriguez felt the blood drain from her face. "How many ships?" "Thousands. More than both our fleets combined could handle." Commander Helen Stone, who had arrived with Admiral Rodriguez, stepped forward. "What are their capabilities? What kind of weapons do they use?" "They do not use weapons, as you understand them," Kethara explained. "They are a biological plague that converts all living matter into more of themselves. Ships, people, entire planets become part of their collective consciousness." Jake felt a chill run down his spine, as Zarathel's memories confirmed her sister's words. Through the bond, he could sense the approach of something vast and hungry at the edge of human space. "There must be a way to fight them," Jake said. "Your people survived this long." "We learned to hit them fast and run away," Kethara replied. "But we never found a way to truly stop them. That is why we sought alliance with your species. Together we might have a chance." Admiral Rodriguez made a decision that would change everything. "Bring your sister here. We need all the information we can get." When Zarathel arrived in the docking bay under guard, the reunion between the sisters was emotional. Jake felt Zarathel's joy and relief through their bond as she embraced Kethara. "Sister, forgive me," Zarathel said in her own language. "I have bound myself to a human." "You did what was necessary," Kethara replied. "The old ways matter less now when all our worlds are gone." The combined human and Velnari leaders spent the next several hours sharing intelligence about the Devourer threat. Jake found himself in the unique position of understanding both species perspectives and helping translate not just language, but concepts between them. "The Devourers always probe defenses before the main attack," Zarathel explained. "Small scout groups test responses and learn about enemy capabilities." Admiral Rodriguez turned to Commander Stone. "Helen, get me a direct line to Earth Defense Command. We need every ship we can get out here." But before she could complete the call, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Kelly Wright's panicked voice came over the speakers. "Admiral, we have contacts dropping out of hyperspace. Multiple ships. Configuration matches Devourer vessels from the Velnari database." Jake felt terror flow through his bond with Zarathel as she recognized the sensor readings. "They found us," she whispered. Through the viewports, Jake could see dark shapes against the stars, ships that seemed to absorb light itself. The Devourer advanced scouts had arrived, and the first battle for humanity's survival was about to begin. "All hands to battle stations," Admiral Rodriguez commanded. "This is not a drill." Jake felt the enhanced reflexes and strength that came from his bond with Zarathel flowing through his body. He was no longer just a maintenance worker watching from the sidelines. Through Zarathel's memories, he understood Devourer technology and tactics better than any human alive. "Admiral, I know their weaknesses," Jake said. "Let me help coordinate the defense." As the station prepared for battle, Jake realized that his simple life was truly over. He was about to prove that humans could fight just as fiercely as any alien warrior when everything they cared about was threatened with extinction. The battle lasted 18 hours and changed everything Jake thought he knew about himself. Using knowledge from Zarathel's memories and his own understanding of the station's systems, he had crawled through maintenance tunnels to reach a damaged Devourer scout ship. His enhanced strength and reflexes allowed him to survive the hostile environment inside the alien vessel and plant explosives that destroyed it from within. When the last Devourer ship fled back into hyperspace, Jake emerged from the wreckage, covered in strange black fluid, but alive. The combined human and Velnari fleet had held the line, but barely. More importantly, they had proven that the two species could work together effectively. "Outstanding work, Martinez," Admiral Rodriguez said as medical teams checked Jake for injuries. "Your knowledge of their ship systems made the difference." Dr. Samantha Ford, a researcher who had arrived with the Earth Defense Fleet, was fascinated by Jake's enhanced abilities. "The bond has changed your cellular structure in ways we are still discovering. You are stronger, faster, and can process information at levels far beyond normal human capacity." Jake looked around the command center where human and Velnari officers now worked side by side, sharing tactical information and coordinating repairs. Princess Kethara stood beside Admiral Rodriguez, the two leaders planning their next moves against the approaching Devourer main fleet. "The advanced scouts will report our defenses to the collective," Kethara explained. "They know now that humans and Velnari have allied. The main attack will be much larger." "How long do we have?" Admiral Rodriguez asked. "Perhaps 2 weeks, maybe less." Captain Lisa Morgan approached Jake with news that would change his life again. "Martinez, Admiral Rodriguez and Princess Kethara have discussed your situation. They want to offer you a position as liaison officer aboard the first joint human-Velnari vessel." Jake felt Zarathel's excitement through their bond. She had been cleared of all charges after helping coordinate the defense against the Devourers. Now they were offering both of them a chance to serve together in the fight for their people's survival. "What kind of ship?" Jake asked. "A modified human cruiser with Velnari technology integrated into its systems," Captain Morgan explained. "Captain Rose Adams will command it. The ship will protect colonies and coordinate between our fleets." Ambassador Laura White, who had arrived to handle diplomatic relations with the Velnari, joined the conversation. "Jake, your bond with Zarathel makes you uniquely qualified for this role. You understand both species better than anyone." Jake thought about his old life as a simple maintenance worker. That person seemed like a stranger now. The bond had changed him into something new, someone who could bridge the gap between two very different species facing the same deadly threat. "What does Zarathel think about this?" Jake asked. Through their bond, he felt her answer before she spoke. "I think we were meant for this," Zarathel said, approaching from where she had been working with the tactical teams. "The bond chose us for a reason." Dr. Ford studied the data from her scans of Jake. "The changes in your biology are permanent. You will always be stronger and faster than baseline humans. Your mental processing capabilities have increased dramatically. Most importantly, the bond with Zarathel cannot be reversed." "Would I want it reversed?" Jake asked, though he already knew the answer. "The bond is not just a connection," Zarathel explained. "It is a partnership that makes both individuals more than they could be alone. You have gained Velnari abilities, but I have also gained human perspective and adaptability." Jake realized she was right. Through their connection, he had felt Zarathel learning human concepts of improvisation and creative problem-solving. The bond worked both ways, making them stronger together. "I accept the position," Jake said. 2 weeks later, Jake stood on the bridge of the UCV Harmony, the first joint human-Velnari vessel. The ship combined human engineering with Velnari energy systems, creating something more powerful than either species could build alone. Captain Rose Adams commanded with authority and skill, while Jake served as her liaison to the Velnari crew members. "Jake, we are receiving a distress call from the mining colony on Kepler 438c, Captain Adams said. "Devourer scouts have been detected in that system." Jake felt the familiar surge of determination that came with defending innocent people. "Captain, I recommend we respond immediately. The colony has 40,000 civilians." "Agreed. Set course for Kepler 438c. Maximum speed." As the Harmony jumped to hyperspace, Jake stood beside Zarathel at the tactical station. Through their bond, he could feel her confidence in their partnership. They had learned to work together perfectly, combining human ingenuity with Velnari warrior skills. "The Devourers will not expect our ship design," Zarathel observed. "We have advantages they have not encountered before." Jake nodded, reviewing the sensor data with enhanced mental abilities. That still amazed him. and we know their weaknesses better than any pure human or Velnari crew could. When they arrived at Kepler 438c, they found 3 Devourer ships attacking the colony's orbital platforms. Jake and Zarathel coordinated the defense flawlessly, with Jake using his maintenance expertise to keep their hybrid systems running at peak efficiency, while Zarathel managed the tactical response. The battle was over quickly. The Harmony's combined technologies overwhelmed the Devourer ships, and Jake's understanding of their weak points allowed for precise strikes that disabled them with minimal damage to the colony. "Excellent work," Captain Adams said as they secured the system. "Jake, your tactical coordination was outstanding." Jake felt a deep satisfaction that had nothing to do with personal glory. This was what he was meant to do, protecting people and building bridges between species. The simple maintenance worker from Earth had become something he never could have imagined. "Captain, I am detecting more Devourer activity in the next system over," Zarathel reported. "A larger force heading for the agricultural world of New Kansas." "Then that is where we go next," Captain Adams decided. "Jake, prepare a full tactical briefing for the crew." As Jake began coordinating with both human and Velnari officers to plan their next mission, he reflected on how much his life had changed. The alien bite that had seemed like a disaster had actually been the beginning of his true purpose. Through their bond, he felt Zarathel's contentment and love. She had found in him not just a mate, but a true partner in the fight to save both their peoples. Together, they were living proof that cooperation between species was not only possible, but could create something stronger than either could achieve alone. The maintenance guy who had just wanted to fix things and go home had become a guardian of 2 civilizations, using his enhanced abilities and unique perspective to protect innocent lives across the galaxy. It was not the simple life he had planned, but it was the life he was meant to live.